What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. We're live to Twitch right now with a discussion for you guys, and that's 15 game-changing cards. They came out later and instantly boosted certain decks to the top that really might have not been doing anything at the time or were already powerful, but this really pushed them to the next level. And two honorable mentions here, since they don't really help a specific type of deck or attribute per se. Sekka's Light really boosted decks such like Mermail and Burning Abyss as of late, since they don't have to really play the spell or traps that would hold down Sekka's Light, and it gives a huge advantage to them. And Trap Trick for more so the trap decks, such as Altergeist or our Paleozoics that kind of had taken a backseat and actually got a top using Trap Trick, which is why it's a little bit up there in price. So I want to give shout outs to both of these, and I feel like Trap Trick maybe not objectively could have been on this top 15 list. But let's go ahead and get into it. And on our number 15, it's Beatrice. So Burning Abyss was still viable at this point, is why it's so far back on my list. You could still play Burning Abyss and top, but Beatrice does take it to another level. I remember the event it came out at, I believe it was Houston, as a YCS. I was walking down the tables and I literally just see 3 Beatrice on each side of the table on so many matches in time. It was crazy. The ability to actually tutor out your deck during your opponent's turn just left this deck on the next level of the stage. But I also want to note, like, a lot of these decks that are about to be on this list weren't as relevant until their support, such as our number 14 position, Blaze Accelerator Reload. Volcanic's topping was one of the most hype moments. First place in Swiss. That was actually just insane. And even like later in the game, when you get to Paleozoic, people start teching this in with Scattershot. So as a future impact, because the card itself is so good. But I really think it helped make a cool kind of back and forth stun-like deck really awesome for one point in the game. And our number 13 slot, we have Gem Knight Phantom Quartz, the Gem Knight FTK. It definitely went to another level because of this, where it was almost non-existent to bam, it's top in YCSs, it's all over at regionals. You start getting hits to it on the FNL list, yet it even tops this past weekend in Milan. So really big stuff from the Gem Knights, and I think like there's other aspects like Block Dragon, of course, along the way, but this by and of far changed the course of its history, similar to Infernoid Decadron. Infernoids were good before this card, Eric Christensen and his Dubski, but Infernoid Decadron takes this deck to another level, and Billy eventually takes Infernoid Zoo to the next level. So Decadron managing to shine a light in Zodiac format, as it were, and still mix with Zoo, yes, but offer a different perspective. And Grass might have been a big game changer there too, but Decadron by far changed the face of how Infernoids worked later on, away from the release. But in our next position, Triff Gaming's favorite, Heavy Foes Electra Might. Okay, Heavy Metal Foes Electra Might is really, really insane for pendulums in general. So not a specific type per se, but it definitely changes the face of where pendulums were. Pendulum Magicians get hit on a list, it looks like it's going to go away, and bam, back into power with this card. But I don't think there's many game changers way further ahead than our buddy Neptibus, the Atlantean Prince. Neptibus here, all the way in Bosch, a set that makes Pepe flex and get hit real fast, takes Mermail Atlanteans from a deck that have been so silent for so long. They had their time, it felt like it was over, and brings them back to the forefront, winning stuff like an ARG, being able to top tons of regionals, take tons of regionals, and even find its way into the top cut of YCSs. Next up on our list is Lithosajum. So specifically Earths, right? But it really does help take dinosaurs to one of the next levels, where you're able to pop the baby Cerosaurus, popping babies. That's one of my stream's favorite phrases for some reason. But you're able to just like go off with Lithosajum and really tear into your opponent with any Earth type deck. I think there's a reason it's still banned, unfortunately. I know a lot of people miss him and want him back. In our next position, we're headed up our list. We've got Totally Awesome here. Totally Awesome in our number 8 position. I think Toad really changed the face of what any rank 2 deck could do. Other rank 2s that had never seen play start filling slots in extra decks in terms of top cuts, and he really just makes for this place for both Paleo slash Frog deck, Paleo Frogs, to take an event from Fusion Sub-Zoo. It's full power support, and Totally Awesome comes in and says, I don't think so. I think there's not many more terrifying things than Totally Awesome in terms of the XC's card pool that really triggers players back to today. In our number 7 position, we have Madolche and Jelly. I think people, even if you've played during the time, if there's a Brilliant Fusion and an Angeli popping off on you, you might just be in for game even today. And there's future Madolche support coming as well that people are really excited about. I personally don't think it'll be passing like tier 2, but a lot of people are excited. We've had the Madolche link, but I'm talking about the next Madolche monster. And Angeli, for its time, its ability all the way in Prio, did bring the deck back from the brink. Oh man, these last 5 are big ones, boys. Actually 6, my bad. In our number 6 position, we have Isolde, changing the face of warrior decks, period. This was huge. Actually making Equips relevant to be milled from deck, but end up having to have use. This, by and of far, changed how Goki worked. It changed how Danger Dark Warrior worked. It changed the face of the game and the ability of warriors, which Rhoda's at 1, but now we have an extra deck card that can just start summoning from the deck and rotoing stuff for you to use in the next turn. I think it's also somewhat why you see BLS see a little more play here and there, but Burning Abyss didn't necessarily need this card either. It's really cool. Go ahead.
Only because Rhoda can't hit above level 4.
Yeah, that's true also, but I think most of the time you're summoning level 4s or lower with Isolde. A lot of people aren't playing more than 4 equips unless it's kind of a wacky deck out there. But Isolde by and afar changed it. And talking about another warrior deck as we enter the top 5. Ooh, Masked Hero Darklaw. Heroes were never the same again. There's still trauma to this day of people who got Darklaw hitting their hand, slapping away everything into the banish pile. Darklaw, it took Shadow Mist too, don't get me wrong, but that structure deck's release in general was huge for Heroes. I don't think without the creation of a extra deck monster like Darklaw, we would ever have seen something like this to bring Heroes to that level though. And then you see it later teched in with mass change number 2 into decks like Burning Abyss and make top cuts. So beyond its own deck, it found an impact, but it definitely took Heroes in specific to that next level. In our number 3 slot, he's been featured more lately in our metagame, but on his release, Grapha, Dragon Lord of the Dark World, changed Dark Worlds entirely in his structure deck to where it's immediately topping. Grapha is a beast of a card, and yeah, they got a great field spell and other stuff, but this ability to always get back to this 2700 beastly body, and also its destruction effect, were just so powerful for the time that it made the deck turn from a 180, like it was a joke, and people that played this at locals were a joke typically, to this is pretty good. In our number 3 slot, another deck that went kind of from like a joke, getting 9th at regionals, almost there. We got Spiral Spiral Double Helix took it from that kind of a deck to a tier 0 crusher. I think it's our last tier 0 format that we can say we've had in a very long time, where this was the deck to either play or beat. And Spirals by far just dominated immediately upon its release. It was insane. And like no other card in history, I think, really took a deck from like that kind of place to another. But how about an ancient topping deck that was revitalized through a prize card, Minerva? We called it Minerva Sworn on the channel, and people get a little triggered, but the fact of the matter is, Minerva took Lightsworn to that next level because all the decks that topped played Minerva, and it was a prize card. Lightsworns needed Minerva to succeed. She changed the face of how the mill deck would work. She changed the ability for you to actually make the deck competitive. And yeah, that's quite the paywall. It's so unfortunate. But I think like Nico Smith is one of the only tops for a regional without Minerva and his Lightsworn, and that was a huge deal. So we look back through history, yeah, Minerva straight up changed the face of Lightsworn, period. But in our number 1 slot, we gotta give it to the fan favorite, the World's Finals. Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Blue Eyes just couldn't be the same without this card. This movie pack really changed the course, as Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon took Blue Eyes' ability to special summon to the field and get your synchros or make dark matter. It's just such an enabler that the deck wouldn't have made it, I believe, without this card. Also, that ability to pop, it just does it all. It really does. It's the body you need on board. It's a pop. It's a synchro material, Xyz material. It's whatever you really need it to be in the deck, or just a 3K beater. It has almost everything going for it, and it took a deck that relatively, I think, without this, wouldn't have been anywhere close to what it was. Like, I think it would be kind of in that rogue status of almost topping with Dark Magicians in terms of YCSs. And yeah, Dark Magician had its fair share of regional takes, but I think it would have been kind of there rather than this ultimate force that was revitalized. But thanks for watching. Of course, this is objective. Like, this is my top list here. 15 different cards. There's so many cards that change the course of history for specific decks. We also later want to do a list of, like, game-changing cards in general, such as Soul Charge, such as, like, the ones that just change the game and how it works. Cyber Dragon. There's so many cards in this game's history, but this is a more narrow-scoped list of cards that changed very specific decks that had been out, you know, for some time, in a sense, such as there's so many different cards here that are awesome that have changed the face of history for a deck. Legacy support, it's a heck of a thing. Subscribe if you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the discussion, and make sure to be here down below in the live streams next time we do one of these videos. Make sure to catch them. Thanks for watching, everybody. What's up?
Forgot to say, if you missed any, to comment down below.
Ah, it's all good.